What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business. It's Wednesday, it's noon, it's time for our monthly live carrier advice with Brian Riker. We're going to talk about, we've got news items. If you've got an FMCSA question, DOT, IRP, IFTA, weight rating, truck, trailer, equipment, MC authority, that's what this show is for. But if we don't have any questions coming in, we've got some news items because I want to get Brian's perspective on some things that we've been seeing on Tuesday night's live industry news as well as dispatching live. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's check in with Brian. Brian, can you see me and hear me okay?
I can, Jay. Thank you very much.
All right, cool. Let's just jump right in. We had, although I will say this, that show, Risk with Tom Klein from a month ago, that was a great show. People have been watching it, and I think we saw something there where there may be, we'll keep looking for good, potential guests to have on. And I did want to ask you, so are you still, do you have that, you mentioned a podcast or a show or something? Is that progressing? Do you have any update on that?
I don't remember exactly what I mentioned.
Right.
I know that I need to get back to recording
Right.
new episodes for my podcast.
Time flies. Okay, so
yes.
So you're still all right. So you'll keep us posted on. I know how that. I hate to. I mean, this is the problem with media, is that you start, it's like any other project, right? Whether it's an engine rebuild or building a tree house for the kids, whatever it is, you start on something and then time gets away from you, right? And it's interesting how life does that. So you can imagine. I mean, I don't know how many shows I'm in now, and I'm like, we're gonna do another one. Heck yeah, we're doing another one. This is ATI, right? We had a show last night. We were talking about NIADA. I know you're into trade shows. I wanted to ask you, what trade show are you headed to next?
My next trade show will be American Towman's TowXpo in Fort Worth, Texas. It's a towing industry focused trade show. I'm sad that I had overlap and did not get down to AHA this year. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping next year to make it down there. And but yeah, my next one is a tow industry trade show, and then later in the year I'll have another auto recycler focused one, and I'm hoping in September to get out to the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, CVSA, the folks that train and certify motor carrier officers. They have a annual convention. It's not quite a trade show. You have to be a member, which I am, to attend. But I'm hoping to get out there. It's a week of committee meetings and meeting with the regulators and the law enforcement agency heads and the people to make things happen. And I'm really looking forward to that one. And right now it looks like my schedule is going to allow it to happen.
Well, so there's an idea. If you run into somebody that you want to bring in as a guest on a live carrier advice, let me know. There might be, especially the CVSA one, because we've talked about officers and law enforcement or DOT, somebody like that. So keep that in mind. And then 2 weeks ago, we had a show, Cybersecurity Logistics. Perfect example. We had met a cybersecurity expert at Digital Dealer, and it turned into a whole Tuesday night company show. It was
nice.
Yeah, in fact, this guy, the CEO of the company, is an author. He wrote Cyberstorm. He was on the show. And they gave us a lot to think about. When you start to think about internet network security and you go down the rabbit hole, it's kind of freaky.
Yeah. And it's important because we may not think about it, but even as a one-truck carrier, you have a lot of personally identifiable information that belongs to your clients that you may be storing in an app on your phone, in the cloud, etc. And you may be responsible when that data gets released accidentally, whether it was a deliberate hacking attempt or your security just was awful and you loaned everybody your password to your apps. And so, yeah, cybersecurity is important for us.
I'll just go to camera one here. I realize, see, when we say these things, Brian, I know we're losing most of the potential audience because this is far beyond what we want to think about in our day-to-day making money operations. But the problem is, if you end up in a situation that whatever that day-to-day money was ain't gonna matter because you now have a problem.
It's all gone.
Yeah, it's gone. So I don't, we'll just touch it with a light brush and keep moving. But like, for example, the FTC Safeguards Rule, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that there are. Can you speak on this?
I'm not 100% sure what that one is either.
And it has
I'm believing
it's PII.
I'm what I'm believing it is, because I did take some training in this for Worldwide, the dealership that I do the car haulers and tow trucks for. And so I could see exposure for transporters that are moving vehicles.
That's the problem.
We're responsible for that personal information that's in the vehicle while it's in our care, custody, and control.
Again, seems crazy, but I guess this is why, again, I can't help stress this enough. As a dispatcher, I knew we shouldn't take that cheap Copart car. And now I can tell you legally why. Because if it's a repo, there could be crap inside the car that the risk of that crap way outweighs whatever we're getting paid.
Yes, if you're a party to the chain of custody on that vehicle, you may have a responsibility. So it gets broken into, and data gets stolen off of.
Step on your toes there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
and nobody wants to think about this because this isn't the sexy part of running a business.
No, gosh, no.
This is the important part of remembering that you are running a business. You didn't just create yourself a job. If you're an excellent auto hauler and an excellent truck driver, and that's all you want to do, then work for somebody else and let somebody else worry about these hassles, because these are the things that keep people like me awake at night, worrying about what is going on out there and who's looking to separate me from my hard-earned money next.
Which is another reason why I talk about I don't think every aspiring owner operator should be owning and running their own business. I know that's not popular on Facebook, and I know it's not going to. But anyways, all right, let's keep going. Hey, did you see this? There was a video. I should have captured it. Labor Secretary Julie Su is in the hot seat over AB5. I don't know if you've seen this. There was a video where whoever was running the panel and the question at the time said to her, Secretary Su, do you think AB5 is a good bill? And she would not answer.
Yeah, she dodged that with everything. He even asked her very clearly, I just need a yes or
yes
no
or no. Is
answer.
This a good bill? And she would not answer. And it's amazing. I'm surprised she wouldn't answer. If she's gone this far, just say yes. Who cares?
Well, she's not going to answer because she knows that she has to distance herself from AB5 if she wants to get her nomination confirmed in this current environment that the Senate is in right now. So she is of the minority party, and so unless they really have a good reason to like her, they're not going to approve her nomination, especially since AB5 and the assault on gig workers and independent contractors is a hot topic issue for the Republicans in Congress. They are not going to go down easily on allowing the labor secretary, the one agency that would have control over the assault on independent workers, independent contractors. They're not going to let somebody from California that believes AB5 and making everybody an employee is a good idea. Because although we just said that maybe not everyone should own their own truck, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do your own thing. It just means that might not be the business for you. But in any case, this is a country where you should have the freedom to choose that is good for you, and not have the government tell you, no, for your own good, you have to go be a worker somewhere.
Yeah, no, AB5 borders on communism, so there I said it. Let's keep going. Which shouldn't be a problem. But speaking of this bridge, so the bridge hit the news. It seems like most people know about it. What are we talking about? I mean, what are the real ramifications of this thing?
Major traffic delays in and around central Philadelphia. I-95 is a major north-south route. That bridge, according to PennDOT, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, sees approximately 160,000 vehicles a day cross it. So detouring 160,000 vehicles onto already over-congested roads in Philly is going to mean a traffic nightmare, extra miles, extra cost for you to get around that area. And we're looking at potentially months to repair the damage. I just was listening to the latest report on that before we went on the air here, and apparently the tanker truck hauling gasoline lost control and overturned coming off of I-95 and crossing back under. That's what led to the crash and the ensuing fire. No injuries or loss of life except for the tanker truck driver. He perished in the crash. So we can dispel the militarism and the deal and all that, which I've already heard. What happened is it does, in fact, burn hot enough to damage the concrete, and then the concrete crumbled and failed and was unable to support the bridge where it met the abutment. And if you look, that's where the bridge failed, is right where it met the abutment on the concrete. But what it means in long term is an awful lot of money on an emergency repair project and months of delays during peak travel season. Well, they repair a bridge.
Let's talk. I'm sorry the driver perished, and I'm sorry this accident happened, of course. But I do want to ask the question: do you think the driver is it possible that did he just make a mistake? I mean, what are we talking about here?
It's too early to know for sure,
Okay.
but from what I'm understanding, they've seen that they've recovered some traffic cam video, because they still have yet to be able to identify the owner of the truck, the motor carrier's truck, or the driver. And nobody's stepped up to say, hey, I'm missing a truck and a driver and 6,000 gallons of gasoline, which is a little concerning. I think it might be a fly-by-night company that is looking to hope they don't identify the vehicle so they don't have to pay for the damage. But apparently they found some traffic cam footage of the truck coming off the exit ramp too fast and rolling over. And it's possible the driver had a medical. It's possible the driver
Maybe he
fell
didn't
asleep.
know the area?
Yeah, see, he made a mistake. That's why you need a special endorsement to drive tanker vehicles, because they are subject to rollover events more so than a regular tractor trailer. And maybe he wasn't fully loaded, and that creates slosh, which can change your center of gravity and cause you to roll.
Very interesting.
There's way too much. This is all speculation right now. All that we know for sure is it was a tanker truck transporting what appeared to be gasoline, and what appears to be the operator of the vehicle perished.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going. That's really interesting stuff. All right, there is a lot. It is ramping up. I'm pretty sure the company thinks that I've got a vendetta, but I feel like that. I don't even know how to unpack it. Let's go with this. Zeb Frank is a professional auto transporter who is speaking up on LinkedIn about the crap happening on this load board. And it's not, I think a lot of people know this. In fact, I think a lot of companies rely on it to do whatever they want. And we're reaching a point where the voices are getting louder about the crap happening on this load board. And what's wondering, like here's a guy. He called the company, another random auto transporter called them, and they said, well, we can't do anything about it. And what we're talking about is vetting brokers and carriers on the load board. And there's now there's a lot of communication online about this, whether they
Mhm.
need to be held accountable. Does the FMCSA need to get involved? Which I said, I learned from you that FMCSA is a safety, right? They're focused on safety. This isn't a
Yeah.
safety issue. This is a business
Eh,
issue,
well,
right? Or
it's not
whatever.
it. Yes and no. Um, FMCSA is their mission is safety. Now
Okay.
that said, FMCSA has reassured the public that, or reaffirmed to the public that they believe regulating brokers is a safety function because when the brokers are mistreating the motor carriers don't have the funds to operate a safe company. Hence, the forthcoming updated guidance and rules on brokers, dispatchers, double brokering, etc., and
Okay.
why the FMCSA feels they should continue to impose requirements and enforce those requirements. So, that said, the load board itself is not a regulated entity because the load board merely connects the broker with the motor carrier. So there is no licensing requirement for a load board. The load board
Right.
in and of itself is not acting as a broker. So there is no legal standing to hold this or any other load board accountable. You, as the consumer, and you're consuming the services of this load board, you, as the consumer, have the duty to verify the legitimacy of the broker tendering the load for shipment, or if you're a broker, verifying the legitimacy of the carrier hauling it. Look at what Miss Cassandra has just created with
We're
Carrier
gonna get to
Assure.
that exactly. Yeah, Kara,
And
sure. Yeah.
we don't have a version of that for the carrier to vet the
But
broker.
again, that's a business proposition, not a legal one. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, unfortunately, even when we can prove wrongdoing, there is very little enforcement towards broker wrongdoing because they simply do not have the resources. FMCSA is an agency that's only a couple hundred people strong, with very few of them actually in the enforcement division. And FMCSA, the FBI, who used to investigate both theft, which some of this
Stay with us, folks. And Brian is just a tough connection where he's at, but I'll fill in the gaps because I know your connection will come back. Is that so? And here's what's interesting: is it's not just brokers. Apparently, like this guy says right here, fake. And I'm telling you, camera one, I'm getting so much mail now about this, and I want that because ATI will be a channel that you can share what you think you see and what you think is part of the problem. Which I think here's what's interesting, and this is what makes it so messy, is that most media organizations are so advertising driven that they can't say these things. Now we are advertising driven, but not to the hilt and the staff and the overhead as other media organizations. And I'm sure that this causes, some consternation. But we do. I know people believe in truth. That's why Trump created Truth Social. It's why people look to Twitter to get out information and news. And ATI is here to help you get out the information and news, even if it looks like opinion or whatever it is. Because here he says it right here, fake carriers are going on, and I'm not even saying the company name anymore because I don't know where we're at. But I do know that these are not my words. These are your words. This is what I'm sharing on behalf of you on TV. Here he says fake carriers are going on there. They're getting loads picked. They get loads, pick up cars from auction and never deliver. These are fake carriers.
Yes.
Right?
Can you hear me now,
Yeah,
Jay?
I hear you now, yeah.
Yes. So that is what I was ranting about before I lost my signal.
All right, cool.
maybe the FBI listening in to me didn't
Right.
like me saying that they weren't going to do their
Shut
job.
down, yeah.
So that is cargo theft, and that is on the rise, not just in auto transport, but in all modes of trucking. It is
right,
rampant.
I'm glad you said it, because now we're getting into Crimeville, and isn't that
Yes.
where the FMCSA is going to pay attention?
No.
No,
they do not have the authority to do
Wow.
anything about this.
Wow. So what? It'll just keep going crazy?
No, it's funny you mention this because there just was a meeting in Washington, D.C. about this exact topic, not focused on auto, but on cargo theft in general by these conversions where someone pretends to be the carrier. That they take the load, then they fake double broker it to somebody who actually hauls the load, or they just steal the cars altogether. TSA is involved, but they don't have the authority to enforce it. FBI is the agency with authority to enforce it, but they flat out said we don't have the manpower to enforce it, so we're not going to. So Congress has stepped in and is trying to come up with a solution for it.
Right?
Yes.
They need a task force.
So this is going to be a multi-year problem before we see any change. And the reason it is the internet has made it so easy to steal with a computer.
I know.
And most of these people that are perpetrating this aren't even American citizens. They're in foreign countries, and they're creating a trucking company or a brokerage knowing full well they don't intend to pay anybody that actually hauls the freight. They pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars and close up and open up again. They're already starting the next one. Well, this one is being run into the ground, and their bond is being exhausted. And believe me, National Insurance Crime Bureau is interested in this as well because their bonding agencies are paying out $75,000 on a bond that they sold for $2,000 or $3,000. So if you're a freight broker, I would expect the cost of your bonds to start skyrocketing because of this shady practices.
So let me ask. Okay, so let's go back to everybody's pointing their finger at this company. What can or should this company do, or are they fine? I mean, I don't know.
Well, can, should, and are obligated to are different things.
Exactly. I mean, I would think they would say legally we're fine, right?
Yes. Legally, they have no obligation to vet the people that are posting on their board. They have a disclaimer when you sign up that they do not vet the accuracy of the information that is posted. Use their service at your own risk. It's no different than when we used to hang information in the truck stop on the bulletin board about loads were available. There was no way to confirm that was accurate. Now, that said, they are a software company. Any one of these load boards, these digital load boards, are software companies. They should be able to, using the powerful artificial intelligence we have available to us today, do exactly what Carrier Assure does on the broker side to make sure the carrier is legitimate. Make sure broker is legitimate.
There's so much correspondence.
Email address at.
Oh, here, I'm going to read this one. Here's what to look out for. This was on somebody posted. I'm going to read this one. Somebody posted this. I don't know which Facebook group. Here's what to look out for. It's just like you were saying. The red flags of what I started doing when I don't trust a company. Call the customer on delivery and confirm with them how much they're paying for the vehicle to get transported. I wanted to get your take. What if a driver calls the customer to verify what they're paying and they're going through a broker? This broker's going to... Aren't there some brokers that will be like, you can't do that?
Yes. Most brokers put it in their broker carrier agreement that you are not allowed to make direct contact with the customer related to rates or anything like that. And until FMCSA settles broker transparency once and for all and says, yes, you have a right to see these documents in an electronic format, legally, we're only allowed to see that contract if we go to the broker's headquarters. They don't have to make it available to us in email or anything.
So here's Carrier Assure. So what's Carrier Assure?
Carrier Assure is a project of a transportation lawyer who used to work for several of the large big box trucking companies. And Carrier Assure uses proprietary algorithms that her team has created, along with publicly available information from FMCSA and her experience as a transportation attorney in cargo fraud claims and losses, to rate a motor carrier A through F, and then they make a recommendation based on the value of the load you're trying to transport and other variables on whether that particular carrier you want to use is a fit for that particular load and what the level of risk is you're assuming if you use them. It is not an exact science, but it goes deeper than someone just looking at a carrier's FMCSA score to see that, yeah, they've had a couple inspections and they exist and they might really have it. She pays for subscriptions to other public databases to make sure that the business that are who they claim that they are. Whether it works or not, that I cannot attest to. I don't know Miss Gaines personally. I don't know the product firsthand, but this is what I've seen advertised that it does, and maybe a similar program for the carrier to vet the broker would be called for here.
Well, I got an idea here. I think we're going to wrap up the show here in a minute. What do you think the chances are of getting a hold of her and bringing her on as a guest?
I would love to do an interview. I'd love to do a 3-way interview with you and Cassandra Gaines and myself on this topic, and whether we do it on just your platform or her platform, or we simultaneously broadcast the interview on both the platforms to get the biggest audience. I would love to do something like that and get her take on why there isn't an equally powerful platform that vets brokers. Because now keep in mind, her clients currently are brokerages. She used to represent trucking companies, but now she represents mostly brokerages and the larger trucking companies that are being cloned for loads that are being stolen. But I do think that this issue needs attention from both sides of the coin to solve the issue. And I wonder what Miss Gaines would think about that.
So, let's do this. I'm gonna message her through LinkedIn. I think my proposal is this. Let's keep it simple. She doesn't know us. Let's see if we can get her as a guest on this show, next show. And that would be, by the way, let's look at our calendar. Next show would be July. And I can either do, July 5th is the day after. Let's do July. Can we do July 12th?
I'll tell you in a second here. Month, June, July. I will be in Texas, but I should be available on the 12th to do a live show where I'm sitting down and in an appropriate environment for that type of interview.
Okay, good. July 12th. That's what we're going to shoot for. And could we do the 19th as a backup?
Now you asked me after I just backed out of my calendar. Hang on a second. No, the 19th I will be occupied. I'm doing hands-on driver training all that week.
19th isn't good for me either. Okay, good. So July 12th, I'm going to reach out to Cassandra, and we're going to ask her if she can give us 30 minutes of her time on a noon on Wednesday, July 12th, to talk about Carrier Assure, what it is, why it exists, and it's basically promotional. Because
yes,
you're right. I mean, yeah, she should want to do it, but she doesn't know us, and that's fine. But that's what we're going to try to do.
Right, and she's passionate about double brokering, so I'm sure that she will have some very insightful points on this.
I'll message her, I'll let you know what happens, and then we'll see what we can do. I mean, here's the thing is that, and this is a great way to wrap up this show, is that this issue, I feel like I already said it, but I'm going to say it again, is that pretty much a lot of Thursdays, we're now talking. It went from unhappiness to, yo, this is like, I mean, this is where people are doing crime. Like,
Yes.
they're not doing crime there, but they're using this place to move into
and
committing a crime.
It's not just that particular load board.
Correct.
Either.
It's not
for
just
some
one.
reason people have focused on that one.
There's a
and
reason
probably
why.
Well, yes.
That's the really big mall. I mean, if you were looking at malls, that's the biggest mall.
Well, yeah, for our segment of the industry, that's the largest one. But I will tell you that in the truckload freight segment,
right. DAT
load boards
stop?
like DAT,
do they have it too?
They make CD look like nothing, and they have it. They have entire departments with staff dedicated to preventing this from happening.
But you just see. But did you see what you just said there? They have staff dedicated to preventing this problem.
Yes.
And I don't think our mall has that.
No, it probably doesn't. But think about the ownership of this particular one you're talking about. Their interest has never been in protecting the carrier. Their interest is in protecting the shipper. So I think we need to get the dealerships that ship cars on this platform to say, hey, we're tired of our load getting stolen, or we're tired of paying twice for the load. Because remember, as the motor carrier that transported it, your name is on the bill of lading. And if your name is not on the bill of lading, then you do not transport the load. But if your name is on the bill of lading, which would be in our industry mostly the gate passes as the carrier it's released to, but if your name is on there, or you have the rate confirmation in your name, and you can prove that the party that was supposed to pay you didn't pay you, the shipper is legally liable. Now, it costs a lot to fight this and make it happen, but the shipper is legally liable to pay, even if they paid the party that defrauded you. They are liable to pay under federal law the motor carrier that actually transported the load. Now, because our loads are normally broken up and you get a different rate con for every vehicle in the load, most people aren't going to spend $2,000 on a lawyer to collect a $500 car, and they just let it go. And that's why they really prey on our industry, because they know that there's a lot of folks that aren't going to spend the money or don't have the money to spend. But remember, the person who's owned that car, that shipped that car, is responsible for paying your charges as agreed, regardless of what party you made the agreement with.
Do you think that DAT and Truck Stop communicate with Cassandra on this issue, or?
I would guarantee it.
But that's not happening here, is it?
No, because
our mall won't talk to us.
Yeah. Well, this is a small segment of the of the trucking industry in general, so most people aren't concerned about it. And a small amount of the automobiles that are transported in the country are transported through this particular load board or similar ones. Because remember, there's an awful lot of auto transport that happens. More than what happens on the load boards happen off the load board with direct to customer contracts. So this is a very small part of the industry. That's why most people don't care about it. I'm not saying that's right, but that's why they don't care about it.
All right, this is really good. I'm going to leave it right here while the bacon is sizzling on the grill. Let's try to get this going. I'll start it. It starts with me. I'll keep you posted. I would love to have an answer soon. And
yes.
And if she can't do that one, maybe another one, or she can point us in the right direction. But I think of all the issues between AB5 and drug testing and break week, I mean, this is the big one that for
the independent transporter that relies on spot market work, meaning that's a fancy way of saying load boards. If you rely on the load board for your work, this is absolutely critical to your survival, to learn how to not get shafted by people. Yes, it is critical. Now, this is also, I don't want to preach too much, but this is also why I strongly recommend that a load board don't make up more than 5 or 10% of your work. And people tell me I'm crazy. That's impossible. But we ran a fleet for 15 years and had 0% load board work. So it can be done.
Yeah.
But
That's a good
that
point.
said, this is right now when everyone's desperate. Desperate times are when fraud goes through the roof because, and the bottom line is, if that offer on the load board is too good,
It's too good to be true. It probably is. Brian, we know you have a tough connection, and we've got an assignment for next week. If we lose you, we will just say goodbye and thank you. Thanks for jumping in the live chat, Carlos. We realize that, what we're doing here monthly on Wednesdays, it is, you're right, it's like, wow. Because we've had some really great shows with some really great questions. But we're not looking to just do the same old, same old. Is this, how many miles can I drive without doing the ELD? We can talk about that too. Brian is an expert, and he can provide opinions and advice offline here. But if you have a legal question, you are encouraged to consult a lawyer or a higher professional expert, such as Brian. And I'm going to put Brian's information. Brian, can you still hear me?
yes, I can, Jay. I'm back.
All right, cool. I'm going to share your contact information in case somebody wants to get a hold of you on air at YourDOTGuy.com. Brian will reply to your questions when he has time. And I love that that's what's cool. That's what I like about this platform. What we just did, we had not talked about this at all. And we now have we just gave ourselves a new homework assignment.
Yes. And this is critical, and this is a compliance issue. It's not a compliance area that people don't think about often, but there are rules that govern the transactions between shippers and brokers and carriers, and this is a compliance issue.
Exactly. It's a compliance issue. Perfect. Okay, so let's do this. Let's end the show now. I'll work on our homework, see if we can get that going for July 12th. And July 12th is on the calendar. I'll make sure that I also put it officially on both of our calendars. And thank you, man. Thanks for your time today. And I'm kind of excited to see if we can get something going here.
You're welcome. And I am connected with Cassandra on LinkedIn as well. So you could always tag me in that as well when you contact her so she knows who the other party is.
I'll tell you what, that's a great idea. I'll start a group with the three of us so we all know what was said.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes,
right,
and
that'll help because I don't know her, and I think
I only know her by reputation and from watching her Mad Gaines live show. So
right. Okay. Well, fingers crossed we get something moving, and thank you, man. I'll see you next month.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jay.
All right. Stay safe. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, everybody.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you later. Take care. We'll see you in a month.